I have been working for the publishing company for 10 years. I became a section leader in the sports magazine department and married through an office romance 2 years ago. Something happened just as I thought everything was going swimmingly. When I arrived at work one morning, Henry, the section chief, approached me with a grin. I didn't get along well with him. He was the type of person who thrived on finding flaws in others. At every turn, he smelled out the smallest error made by others and reported to the department manager. I couldn't tell if he came to work every day or only to look for other people's mistakes because he never did his normal work. I didn't know why such a person was working as a chief. Earlier that day too. "Hey, Theo, the manager told you to come to conference room 1. With that, he was smiling. "Okay," I answered and hurried straight to the conference room 1. When I knocked on the conference room door, "Come in," I heard the manager's boss. "Excuse me?" When I opened the door, the manager of the sports department and the head of the human resources department sat down and looked at me. First, our department manager asked me a question. "Theo, do you know anyone at Company B?" I had no idea. "No, I don't," I replied. Then, an unbelievable story came out of the manager's mouth. "It's Company B's scoop. The exclusive scoop on Jack's transfer to the famous team was announced." "What?" I learned of Jack's transfer to another prominent team after spending several days at a bar he frequented. Why was that announced as a scoop by Company B? "According to Henry, there is a guy from your college who is your junior and now works at Company B, correct?" I assumed he was thinking I had disclosed information to someone from Company B who went to the same college as me. "With all due respect, sir, I have no idea what you're talking about. I didn't even know the Company B employee you mentioned. There is no way I would simply hand over a scoop that I spent months obtaining to another company." I tried to explain, but the manager's face remained grim. Then, the head of the human resources said, "Unfortunately, we can't believe 100% of what you say as long as we have Henry's testimony. I'm ordering you to work at the regional office until things settle down with the information leak matter." I couldn't believe my ears. A regional office? There was no such thing as a professional baseball team. And they only had one professional baseball game a year. There was a high school baseball team that regularly played in the national championship, so there was a chance that I could write an article about it. But it was really a demotion. And so I was assigned to work at the regional office from the beginning of the week. When I came back from the conference room, as I expected, Henry spoke to me. "Theo, you're going to be the regional office head of the sports department. Good for you." I glared at Henry. "Why did you invent such a story, Henry?" I asked him. "It's not bullshit. Andrew from Company B is your junior at university, right? I'm not wrong, am I?" "I'm not familiar with any Andrew from Company B. I'm not sure if we attended to the same university, but I've never met him." "Don't make things up." Henry looked at me and grinned. "I just told the truth.
I don't give a shit what the higher-ups think.
I knew then that I was being set up. He purposefully informed the management that I and Chris from Company B attended the same college. And he made it sound like there was some kind of connection between us. And he must have framed me from leaking their information. I couldn't believe it. But there was no point in getting mad. The reality is that I was transferred. I went home and told my wife Amelia about it. Then, "No way! A regional office? That's too sudden." She was surprised. "Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe in a few years I'll be able to return to the headquarters. But as long as Henry is in the sports department, it might be hard to get back." For a while, Amelia was thinking silently. Then she made an unbelievable statement. "Let's break up." "Huh? What? What do you mean you're breaking up with me?" Then Amelia said with a cold expression I had never seen before, "Because I definitely don't want to live in the countryside. I can't leave LA." "So you want me to go there alone?" When I asked her, she gave me an even more incredible answer. "Go alone? No, I'm talking about divorce. A demotion with no guarantee of returning to the main office means you're not going to get promoted. There's no point in staying with someone who has such a bleak future." My mind went blank. I pondered whether it was so simple for her to consider divorce simply because I had strayed from my career track. "I married you because you were a section leader in your 20s, and I saw us having a bright and secure future ahead of us. I can't believe that you were being demoted off to a countryside branch office." I understood when she said that. Amelia never loved me. She chose to marry me since I had become a section leader at a major publishing company in my 20s and was well on my own in my career. She wed my title. Hearing Amelia's cold words, my feelings for her cooled off. I didn't even feel like trying to dissuade her or persuade her somehow. We became strangers again with a piece of paper. Then I packed my stuff and moved out within a week. On the day I moved my things into my room, I went to the grocery in the evening, a 10-minute walk away, to get some food. I went to the prepared food section and bought some corn soup, hamburger steak, and bread for tomorrow's breakfast. As I left the supermarket, it began to rain. The rain quickly intensified. It was like a squall. By the time I got to the apartment I had just moved into, my hair and shoulders were quite wet. As I hurried to get inside, I saw someone in the alley next to the apartment. Someone appeared to be crouching. "Huh? What is it?" As I approached, I saw a woman sitting there, soaking wet from the rain. I thought that she wasn't feeling well. I hurriedly called out to her, "Are you alright? Are you feeling okay?" Then the woman in front of me slowly looked up. Her face was extremely pale and lifeless. I had a bad feeling. I considered calling an ambulance, but I decided to take care of her first. "Well, I live on the 3rd floor of this apartment building. There is a laundromat on the 1st floor. Why don't you dry your wet clothes? You'll catch a cold if you stay like that." I told her that. "I'm not a suspicious person. Here is my business card." She looked at the card, then at me, and nodded her head, a blank expression on her face. I handed her a bath towel and a top and bottom jersey at the entrance and led her to the bathroom. Take your time to change. You can use a shower if you like. With that, I closed the door of the bathroom. After a while, she came out. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. She bowed. Oh, it's okay. Are you feeling all right? I asked. Yes, I'm sorry for the trouble. It's just anemia, she replied. I had a cup of instant coffee with her and introduced myself. I introduced myself and said that I had just moved here this morning and that I would be starting working for a publishing company the next day. She told me about herself too. I was astonished to learn that we were co-workers at the same company. My name is Sophia Anderson. I guess that means I will be working under you starting tomorrow. I am in charge of accounting. Wow, really? What a coincidence that we work in the same place. I'm looking forward to working with you. I just moved here, so there's a lot I don't know about. After that, Sophia told me about the company, and we talked about other things. I guess I was relieved because she and I worked at the same company and seemed to have gotten to know each other rather well. So, I decided to ask her something that had been bothering me for a long time. You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but why were you in that alley? Well, actually, someone is stalking me. What? A stalker? Sophia told me that she had been the victim of a stalker for the past several months. She claimed she was also being followed from in front of the station that day. She had previously approached the police, but was advised that they could not intervene unless there was actual injury, such as an attack. Sophia was almost seized by the arm that day, just a few dozen meters from her residence. She said that she threw an umbrella at the stalker and ran into the alley. That must have been terrifying. I suggested Sophia, whose face clouded as she remembered the incident. If you like to, why don't we leave the office together starting tomorrow? I'll walk you home after we leave the office. Your home is near here, right? Her face lights up all at once. Oh, really? It would be very helpful if you would do that. Thank you very much. Sophia happily thanked me repeatedly. I arrived at the branch office early in the morning the next day. On one floor were the sports department, the economics department, the social affairs department, the entertainment department, the general affairs department, and the accounting department. The branch office had an entirely different vibe from the main office, and each person moved with efficiency. They were collaborating with others to avoid working as much overtime as possible. That's how I thought a company should be. I looked into the accounting department and saw Sophia's face. A little past the time to leave the office, I called out to Sophia and left the office immediately. Because she was a local, I asked her for a restaurant recommendation on my way home from work that day, and we had dinner together before heading home. From then on, we had dinner and went home together every day. I'm kind of sorry for asking you to walk me home every day, Sophia apologetically, as we ate pizza at the restaurant she recommended that served delicious pizzas. Oh no, it's all right. Even though I'm new here, I'm delighted to enjoy a nice supper every night. She smiled when I told her that. We ate dinner together every night, listening to each other's stories. Sophia told me that her husband had cheated on her a few months before and she had just gotten divorced. Once she became single, she started seeing the same guy all the time at the local supermarket. Eventually, she began to be stalked and harassed. She informed me that she was delighted she met me and that we were able to walk home together since she sensed a huge danger. Then, Sophia and I started going out to eat on our days off. She showed me around the stores and the new place. She took me from the cheapest supermarkets for everyday necessities to the greatest fast food joints for side dishes. And gradually, I began to care about her, who treated me very kindly. One day, after about a week of such days, as usual, I walked Sophia off in front of her apartment after work. I watched her enter the entrance, and as I turned away to leave the place, I heard a woman scream. Could it be the stalker? I thought he had given up and stopped following her. I hurriedly turned around, ran as fast as I could, and ran into the entrance of the apartment building where she lived. Right in front of me, a man wearing a black hoodie was hugging Sophia.
Hey, you! What are you doing? Get away from her!
I shouted, grabbing the man's wrist and twisted it up. Ouch! The man fell to his knees. I put both of the man's arms in a tight chokehold and, "Call 911 right now!" I yelled at Sophia.
You busted it! If you ever come near her again, you'll regret it,
I said, grabbing the man by the neck. The police arrived a few minutes later, and the man was detained right away because he was carrying a stun pistol and a box cutter knife in his pocket. Thank you so much. I let her come into my room. She was crying and trembling for a while. It's all right now. I calmed her. I was sure that the stalker would not be released for the time being. But the damage to Sophia seemed to be quite severe. I'm afraid to be alone in the apartment, starting tomorrow. Trembling, she said so and started to cry. I called the real estate agent of my apartment. He told me that there were 2 rooms available in the apartment. Sophia, I heard that there is a vacancy in this apartment, although it is a little cheaper than yours. How about moving in here? I suggested. Does that mean I can go home to the same place you do every day? She looked me straight in the eye and asked. Yes, that's right. If we live in the same apartment, I can watch you go inside your room every day. When I told her that, Sophia smiled. Then, can you introduce me to the real estate agent? She said so. Over the weekend, I helped Sophia move in with my colleagues. The newspaper ran a piece headed, Hero from LA Fights Off Stalker. So it was the topic of conversation during the move. I was so glad that my karate training as a student came in handy here. Since she moved into the same apartment, she has been making my favorite pasta and dishes. I cook too much. With that, she would come to my room to give them to me. I have a sneaking suspicion that Sophia and I are developing a love relationship. Neither of us has said anything about it yet, but I'm really enjoying the time I spend with her. Before I got here, I was stunned that my wife had left me and that I had been demoted. But now, I feel that it happened at the right moment. According to rumors, my ex-wife had been flirting with Henry, and his wife discovered out. Henry was no longer able to work at the company, and now his ex is suing for a large sum of money, putting him in a lot of problems. I felt good when I heard about it. I was determined to make a fresh start here, and I will not let Sophia go through such a scary experience again. I want to ensure that she is happy.